Hey guys, so let's talk reborns. I got Vegas here, and I know he's been in the same little sleeper for a while because I like him in the well, it's not a sleeper, it's a pajama set, but I like him in pajamas. So so messy hair. Tell my little messy hair. Um, you know, I was looking on Facebook, and in one of the groups, the people were talking about um the dolls coming, weighted wrong and all that stuff. I'm telling you guys, you gotta learn how to take these dolls apart. Most artists seem to be like a lot of the, established artists and stuff like that. They seem to use the standard type of weighting materials, which, of course, most of us prefer. But there are a thing where people get confused with what's standard and what's not standard but not wrong, or what's, I don't know. Like for me, I know one time, and I paid like 40 something dollars on eBay for these glass beads, and when they got here they were super super fine, and they almost looked like sand. I liked the way they felt in my babies, but I didn't like how, as a matter of fact, I still have them, because most of them, because I stopped using them because they're too fine. But I think a few artists may have gotten them probably just as I did, thinking they were going to be the ones the same size as like Bountiful Baby. And they are glass beads, they're not sand. And even sand, people used to use sand many years ago. They started out weighting the babies with sand. It was only when people start using like unsanitary sand and sand out their backyard and kitty litter and stuff like that in the dolls that became a problem. That's when it's, you know, wrong. But, I would definitely prefer the other type of beads. But I've had the other ones in my babies, and it's not a big deal. Like, I think Paris actually have the really, really fine ones in her, but I've only opened her up once in 3 years. And it took me almost 3 years before I opened her up. And I'm okay with it. It don't come out her body or nothing like that. Like, she's in a really double um knitted stocking or whatever the beads are. So, but for me, when I was new, because I was afraid to take the dolls apart, that was kind of like a deal breaker. Like, I didn't like the way the doll felt. Then I didn't really want the doll. But now, that's not a deal breaker for me. That's not even an issue for me now at this point, because I learned how to take my dolls apart and put them together again and reweight them. And I keep reweighting material at my house. If you go into my closet right now, you're going to see polyfill, you're going to see cluster stuff, you're going to see the glass beads separated by the pounds that came from Bountiful Baby. Um, because most of the time, I have to reweight my babies when they come. Almost always. Except for uh, Vegas, I changed his body. It wasn't so much of the weighting, it was that I didn't like his body. But he was a prototype, and when they do the prototype, usually they have to use what the artist sent, the sculptor or whatever sent. So that's why he had the body that he had, because it was the body from the sculptor. But I changed it. But like my Amory sculpt by Lorna Minnow Sands, the Romy, the last baby that I got, he's weighted perfectly. Like, I won't take him apart. And I trust that he's weighted with, the right stuff, because I've opened up Vegas before and they're from the same artist. And he has the right, nice stuff in him. So I only open up my babies when I feel like they need to be reweighted or stuff like that. I don't buy from people that I don't really trust as much anymore. Like when I first started, I was new, so I didn't really know much about the artists and stuff. So yeah, but if something don't smell right or feel right, yeah, I'm gonna open up the baby and so that I don't ruin the doll, especially if I love the painting. Like for him, I'm not as much in love with his sculpt as I am his painting and the way he's rooted and stuff like that. So if it was anything that I thought might have been inside him, I would definitely open him up to make sure, get him changed out so that it don't ruin the doll. Especially people saying like they getting stuff with damp stuff inside of them. That stuff is gonna mildew and mold. And another thing, I saw one of the artists, not artists, collectors were saying is that they got the baby and the head was wet. You got to be careful with that. If you're, especially people that's new to reborning and stuff, you got to make sure the head is fully dry before you send it off. But um, it's one of the things when you're buying from a new artist too. You can't really like hold them to a whole lot because they are new, and especially if they let you know that they are new, they're learning, and they may be learning at your expense, but they're learning, and you can't. Well, I mean, depending on how much you pay now. I mean, that's why some people, when they're brand new and don't know what they're doing exactly, shouldn't be taking people money too. Um, but who am I? But yeah, I love him. Like his coloring is totally different from Romy's coloring. He he has he has a total different color. I love artists that can reach, multiple colors, skin tones and have variety in their work. Um Not all artists can do that. They can't, paint all different types of skin tones. I really love Jeannie's work. Um, I think the first time I actually seen her work or knew of her work was at the doll show. But then it's like it's too much light on him. But I don't know how to turn. I don't know how to turn it off. There we go. No, shining so much light on him. It's washing out his color. But anyway, I think the first time I seen her work was at the doll show, but and she had a baby that I really really liked, but she was saying that she wasn't gonna sell that particular one. And then something told me like just go make her an offer anyway. By the time I build up the nerves and the thought to go make her an offer at her table, somebody else had beat me to it, and the baby was sold. So, so yeah, so I hadn't really seen much of her until after that, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just really, I could do that all day playing his hair. So I'm really, really in love with my Vegas, and she is definitely one of my favorite artists on the list. It's, you find artists that are good, but you can't really fully trust them, or artists that are good, but they're hard to reach or hard to get a baby from because they're booked. Um, and I don't know how booked she is. Like, I don't know if she does customs. I don't know any of that because both babies that I've gotten from her was on eBay. So, um, but I have messaged her, you know, like when I was asking her. what to do with I was asking her questions about the kit size and clothing and stuff before Romy came. So yeah. So guys, just learn how to take the dolls apart. That was my purpose of the video, is that don't let that ruin it for you, especially if you really love the painting and the rooting on the dolls, because you know, regardless to what all comes in the box, the clothes, the, you know, the shoes, the trinkets, you know, and if the doll is weighted wrong, all that stuff means nothing. The main part to me, well, that's just me, is how well the doll is itself, and you know, the sculpting on the doll and the painting and the rooting. And if that is really, really good, it doesn't matter about the rest. And if the weighting is the one thing that's bad, and I mean, I'm saying bad like you don't like the way it feels. Now, if it's got the wrong materials in it and stuff, I would be upset. And I mean wrong, not in my preference. You got to, you know, separate what's a preference and what's just not right. Like if you send me with kitty litter or grits or something in my baby, then that's wrong. But if it's just not weighted the way I prefer or something like that, I don't hold that against artists, because there's no way they're gonna know how each person like their babies weighted. Some people don't want their babies weighted heavy. Some people want them heavy. Some people want them to feel almost like a teddy bear, you know, just really squishy. And some people want them more firm. So they can't guess that with every baby. So that's why it's so important to look it up. A Little X Loves had a great video. It's how I learned how to take mine apart and put them back together again. And it's not as hard. You know, they have these little, well, you can't see his really, but inside there's a zip tie. His little hair is sticking up. And you just clip it, you know. You just clip it, and I know it sounds bad, but the head is going to fall off. And you clip it, and but you gotta, you know, make sure you have some more zip ties, because you gotta put it back on. But you're just sliding it through the little hole, and then you put it together. I'll have to show you guys one day, but it's not as bad as it seems. And you just take the stuff out, and you know, get you some stockings, and you could buy, actually, like if it's understuffed, that's an easy fix. You don't even have to go online for that, because you can go to Walmart and get cluster stuff or cluster fluff or whatever you call it, in the polyfill from like Walmart and Michael's and places like that. So that's an easy fix. And then you don't have to worry about not liking, you know, a beautiful doll that's been really nicely painted. So anyway, guys, I, I'm so happy that I'm starting to really love my reborns again, too, because at one point it was just like silicone, 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 and it was just like I wasn't enjoying my reborns anymore. It was just like they were like pushed to the side. But now I've gotten really excited about them again. And maybe it's because I've the last few that I've gotten, I've really liked the way the artist painted them and stuff like that, or I really like the sculpt and stuff. So I've gotten excited about them all over again. And I'm excited about the new kits that I have coming too. But they won't be reborn until the end of the year. See you guys later.